my beach read copy looks. Very few books get into my 5-star categories. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to yet another bookmas video. Today's video is going to be so much fun because I've compiled a list of just a bunch of different random bookish questions that I've either gotten asked before or I found online, and we are going to be answering them in today's video. Not we. I'm going to be answering them. First question I have is your thoughts on cracking spines. Okay, personally, I don't really care. I feel like as long as it's your own book, do whatever you want to it, okay? Rip it to shreds if you want. I just think it becomes a problem when it's somebody else's book because they might not prefer to have their spine cracked. I like cracking the spines of books. Like any book that I have on my shelf that's like a bigger book, I crack the spine of. My Akatar series, I definitely crack the spine of those because those are like monstrously large books. But I only really crack the spines of bigger books. I don't really do it to the smaller books because it doesn't really need to be. I just love a floppy book, so I'm gonna need to crack the spine, but honestly, I feel like if it was somebody else's book that I'm reading, I'm not cracking the spine. I will read it like this. If it's someone else's book, I would literally read it like this to get around cracking the spine. I wanted to show you guys this a few videos ago, so I guess I'll do it this video. It kind of correlates to what I was saying. Like literally beach read pages are like falling off and ripped in every direction ever, and like they are not fully completely on anymore. That is how my beach read copy looks. So honestly, I feel like just loving my books is something that I'm okay with, but in my opinion, I also totally understand how like people don't want their books to look like that. Like I fully get it. I'm there with you guys, but I've just never been able to do that. That was a very easy question. The next one is, what is your rating system? Now, my rating system, like most people's, is a 1 to 5 star rating system. Honestly, I don't like giving books like half stars or 0.75. I very rarely give books 0.75 because I don't feel like I need that. I mean, I've always rated books on a 1 to 5 scale. I just recently gave myself the power to do like 0.5s. Like, I feel like I rarely ever give a book 1 stars because a lot of my 1-star reads I most likely DNF. Like in my opinion, a 1-star book is a DNF'd book that I got like 70% through, because I feel like 70% through is enough through it to still rate the book and talk about the book. So that's where my 1-star ratings are. Now my 2-star ratings are for books that, I mean, I got through, but I just didn't love at all. Like I will never think about the book again. I'll probably give it away. Like that's where the 2-star ratings are. And then the 3 stars are just kind of exactly mediocre books, like not great. I probably won't think about it again, but if I did think about it, it wouldn't be completely negative. There were some parts I liked, some parts I hated, totally in the middle. And then 4 stars is the rating that I use most of the time because a lot of the books that I read I actually really like. So 4 stars is for books that I obviously read the whole thing, I obviously liked it, but maybe there were some parts that I didn't love, or it wasn't super quote heavy, or it wasn't super like character driven, or it just had different things that I don't necessarily like in books, and that would be where my 4-star ratings are. Now my 5 stars are like reserved. Very few books get into my 5-star categories, and when they do, they stay there forever and ever and ever. Next question is, are Kindles worth the hype? Yeah, honestly, my Kindle isn't even like a Kindle reader. It's just like an old Kindle that I used to have, and I repurposed it to turn it into like a Kindle reader type of thing. Oh my god, having a Kindle is actually life-changing. I feel like just pulling out my Kindle instead of my phone when I'm at different places, like in public or even at home, it's a lot easier because it doesn't distract me as much. I feel like when I pull out my phone, even though I have the Kindle app on my phone, I'm more likely to end up on TikTok or on Instagram instead of reading my book. Having books digitally is something that I used to actively hate, but I love it now. That pipeline I feel like everybody has, but I'm so obsessed with reading books digitally now. I very rarely read like actual physical books anymore. I normally only read on my Kindle. Even the books that I own and have owned for a while, I would rather get them on my Kindle. I don't know, something changed in me, okay? Like Thomas Edison literally had the light bulb above my head. That's how I feel. Honestly, 1000% worth the hype. If you don't have a Kindle, what are you doing? Next question we have is, what's your favorite trope? And honestly, a while ago, I probably would have answered this, like enemies to lovers is my favorite trope, but more recently, I found out I actually am not the biggest fan of an enemies to lovers trope. I don't really like when majority of books do enemies to lovers because they do it in like a very odd way where it's like, hey, you're just being mean to the other character at this point. Is not even for like an actual reason. I feel like my brain chemistry evolved in that sense. This is so difficult for me to answer. I feel like I hate more tropes than I like, so I've never thought about my favorite trope before. Obviously, friends to lovers is going to be one of my favorites up there on the list because I don't know, something about a friends to lovers book, especially childhood friends to lovers, has like such a special place in my heart. I feel like it's always the sweetest, cutest romance story ever. It's so good. It's so good. I also think that I like it so much because the people know each other so well. I hate love at first sight books. I hate like a meet cute. I hate those kind of books just simply because I feel like it's like you see them and you're immediately in love with them, and that's just not how it works. I'm so sorry. Another one that I like is like a fake dating trope. I don't know what it is about a fake dating trope, but it's gonna do it for me every single time, okay? Every single time. I feel like sometimes it's stupid how it's like, oh, they have to fake date because it's, hey, you could have avoided that problem in the beginning. You don't have to fake date, actually. You could have just not lied in the first place, but I eat it up every time anyway. Next question we have is, does book talk ruin reading for you? I'm gonna be so completely honest. I think book talk ruins it for me, but I don't think like book YouTube ruins it for me. I don't know. I don't like TikTok that much, and especially the book community on TikTok I think sometimes can be very, very toxic. So that's why I don't do book TikToks. I also don't like the rise on book talk of people hating on you because you're reading romance books, you're reading fantasy books, you're reading just like lighthearted books, whereas they think you should be reading like classics and heavy literature. And I don't know, I think book talk does ruin reading for me sometimes. When I'm scrolling through TikTok and I see a book TikTok, sometimes it can be great, other times it can be dark and vile. I also think I should add on a little bit about that question, because also the way that book talk kind of forces people or makes people feel like they have to read like so many books in a month, insane to me. Pressure and the toxicity sometimes can get to me, but you know, you just have to distance yourself sometimes. I feel like if it bothers me, I'll just close out, and I'm not on that side of TikTok anymore just because of that, so not bothersome at all. That was a long one. That was a really long answer. The next question we have is your tips to get out of a reading slump. I don't know. I feel like I go into a reading slump, and I hate overusing the word because I think it loses its meaning, but I go into a reading slump probably every 2 or 3 months for at least 2 weeks. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the pace that I read books. Maybe it's like me doing YouTube also while trying to read books. I don't really know what the issue is for me. Sometimes I just have a disconnect with reading and it upsets me, but I know how to get out of it now. My only tips that I feel like I can give you is just give it time. Like, you will love reading again. Don't worry about it. Like, if you are forcing yourself to read a book, I think it's going to make it worse for you in the long run. But also at the same time, if you feel like it's been too long and you're in a book slump and all you want to do is get out of your book slump but you can't, I think you can also do a few other things. First and foremost, watch a bunch of book content. I feel like just encapsulating yourself with what you want to do is going to make it a lot easier. Like for me, for example, not just on the book scale but also on the YouTube scale. Before I actually started doing YouTube, I was like fully only watching videos about how to be a YouTuber, how to grow your YouTube, all this stuff, because I feel like that just motivated me more. Like, really immerse yourself into like a lot of book content, and I feel like it's just going to inspire you to want to actually read again. And also another thing you can do is just find an easy book to read. Sometimes you just need a palate cleanser. I also, by the way, I do have a whole video on this if you want to go check it out. Those are my only tips off the top of my head, but I do have an entire video on how to get out of a reading slump, so you can definitely go check that out. It's like a reading vlog / how to get out of a book slump. It's a pretty fun video. Okay, me doing self-promo is crazy right now, but I honestly cannot think of anything else off the top of my head, so there you go. Okay, I'm like feeding you that video on a silver platter. Next question we have, I feel like is going to take me a while to answer. It's, what are your bookish icks? Now, I have a lot of them. I also hate the word ick. Can we please as a society stop using it? It like boils my blood. I think my main bookish ick right now is when we're doing grumpy ex sunshine trope, but the guy's not grumpy, he's just mean. Ew. Oh my god, I want to light myself on flames. I'm so serious. I cannot do it. I'm just gonna keep listing them off as they come to my mind. I think another one would be when the characters don't just say how they feel and like they're so, oh, amazing, we're together, and then they like back off and be like, oh, but I don't know if they feel the same way. Just ask. Another one would be just the miscommunication trope in general. When we're like almost to the end of the book, the third act breakup comes. So you want me to walk into a wall. It literally makes me want to stop reading the book right then and there, and nothing makes it worse than after the miscommunication trope, they get back together, and then you go to the epilogue. Oh, they have a baby and kids in a house with a white picket fence. Be realistic, challenge. Be realistic, actually. And with all that being said, that brings us to the end of today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching this book talk, and I hope that you got something out of it. I don't know what you would have gotten out of it, just because I feel like I ranted for 30 minutes. Probably gonna have to cut this down to be at least 10 minutes, but We don't need all my yapping in here. Love you guys so much. I'll see you guys tomorrow for yet another Bookmas video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out all my socials. I feel like I say that at the end of every single video, so you guys are probably getting tired of it by now. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye.